And this man won the honorary accolade at the German Football Ambassador Awards. At 18, Thomas Hitzlsperger went to England to join Aston Villa. After 99 appearances, he signed to Stuttgart, where he won the Bundesliga in 2007. The Munich native also earned 52 caps for Germany. His fierce left foot earned him the nickname Hitz the Hammer at Villa. But he's had an impact off the pitch too, making commitments to a range of good causes, especially against discrimination and racism. You moved abroad when you were 18 to Aston Villa, your first professional club. Would you have dreamed back then that you would one day become a German football ambassador?
Never. I had totally different things on my mind when I moved to Birmingham to become a professional player. I didn't see the big picture. Sitting here a few years later after getting the award is a huge development.
What was the most important thing you learned there?
I set myself the goal of becoming a professional footballer, and after a bumpy start I succeeded. Then I suddenly noticed how much more there was to being a player. You're now a role model. You talk to kids and they listen to and watch closely what you're saying and doing. And taking on that role is a special job, and one that I'm still aware of today.
Was there a special moment when you realized you were more than just a footballer?
There were times when I was confronted with prejudice. Players who'd come up to me and say things that surprised me. But the image of Germans back then was something I did want to challenge because it wasn't all positive. And because language is so important, I wanted to learn it quickly. You might think English isn't that hard for us to learn, but the different accents can make it difficult. It took about a year for me to be able to master the Birmingham dialect.
What kinds of prejudices were you confronted with?
Silly stuff, like the music you listen to. I was into American music like hip-hop, and that surprised the other players. They assumed Germans would only listen to German music. It took me back at first, but really, these are minor things that you deal with soon enough. And things like punctuality. That's a cliché, but one that applied in my case. It was something the English appreciated, and I didn't want to disappoint them. I always made an effort, but if you don't manage it one time, people are really surprised, and then they wind you up.
You once said kids had asked how you can shoot so hard, and you said it takes 10 years practice, hitting the ball against a wall.
I couldn't play with my brothers and sisters. I grew up on a farm where there were concrete walls I could shoot against. I noticed how my technique and power improved. I just enjoyed doing it. And I told that story when people asked me later. There must be other people who've done it too, whether for 10 years or 2 weeks. I remembered how I used to listen carefully to players when I was a youngster, telling us how to succeed as a professional. And it's the same today. Kids watch exactly what their heroes do, what they wear, how they play, and what they say.
And is there a point where you notice you're a role model with responsibility?
Yes, eventually. People would say, "You're famous. Could you help us with our cause?" And it made me think, what exactly do I want to do outside of football? How much time do I have to spend on training, and how much do I have for other things? Little by little, I noticed that I wanted to use my popularity to support issues that interested me, such as fighting xenophobia, racism and anti-Semitism, because I was a foreigner myself.
So the motivation was personal.
Exactly. But you also have to watch out with football if you're off form. Then it's turned back on you. If you have other commitments, people then say he's busy with too many other things. Finding a balance isn't easy because football is always number one. You have a responsibility to the fans and the club.
You've recently become interested in journalism. Why?
I wanted to stay in football once my playing days were over. I didn't want to go into coaching right away or any other job at a club. But I wanted to see the other side. Why is it so difficult sometimes for journalists to get access to players and interview them? I fancied experiencing their side and testing out whether I could write and seeing what other stories people were interested in.
What would you want to see if you were my editor-in-chief?
The main job is the matches, of course, the people who take an interest, the team lineups and tactics.
The sporting aspect.
Yes, but there are a lot of other political issues connected to football. FIFA is obviously very topical and needs to be addressed. I find investigative journalism fascinating, the people who go where it hurts, as it were. These people do a really valuable job.
They go deeper.
Yes, exactly. Most people want to be entertained, and that's something you have to provide. But as we are seeing, there are a lot of problems, and there are always good journalists who follow up on a story and do great work. Just like those people who give others what they want to see, entertainment, something to talk about, and something that's easy to consume.